Hello, everyone. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the Food Enthusiast. Welcome back. Today's topic is cooking clubs, in particular the Baltimore Supper Club, where people cook, share, and connect. Two of the three co-founders, Kylie Perrotti and Marci Yankelov. Kylie is an art director, photographer, recipe tester, and just completed her first cookbook. Congratulations. That is a huge endeavor. And Marci, is main income is real estate. Is it residential or both residential and commercial?
Full-time, full-service residential with some small commercial as well.
And Marci is a passionate cook and has a background in cooking from her years in restaurants when she was going to college and putting herself through. And missing is the third fooditeer, is Robert Estabrook, who couldn't be here today, who is a community relations manager, I'm reading my notes, for Options for Senior America and couldn't make it today. So, Kylie, you were the impetus, you were the start. So tell me how Baltimore Supper Club got started, and I know that right now that we're already short of a year and you have 1,000 members. Tell me about the Baltimore Supper Club and how it got started.
Sure. I always tell the story. I had one night, I moved back from New York in 2018, and around July I sort of got this feeling that I just wanted more friends in the area, and I had joined some neighborhood Facebook groups, and I kind of say, I had too much coffee, and I was like, I wish I had more friends here, and I wonder if anyone would be interested in starting a cooking club. So I posted to the Bolton Hill Facebook page group, and I said, is anybody interested in starting this? And I got a really big response. I posted to Reddit, I posted to Mount Vernon, and then I just started the group, and within like a night, I feel like we had like 80 members, and it was a little overwhelming. It was a lot of people, and then that's how I met Robert and Marci, and we just kind of stuck together and just started collaborating, and then it kind of grew from there.
Before, I'm just saying, you sort of have to sit up. Why don't you have a new logo for the Baltimore, the city that cooks, and that's the BaltimoreSupperClub.org, so we'll get that out there. And we have 1,000 Facebook members in the group. My question to you, Marci, is it's an inclusive group, and when I say that, many backgrounds. Tell me more about how this has worked out and how they share and what your events are like.
Okay, so first off, we actually have over 1,300 members now. So it's really quickly. So we need to update our data. So a lot of the sharing is sharing and collaborating on the Facebook group. Like you mentioned, we do have a web page as well, because there are people that are not on Facebook but want to be made aware of events that we have coming up and participate, be able to participate. So there is a newsletter that it goes out once a month right now, and I don't, Kylie works on that, so that may expand a little bit. A lot of activity on the group, where again people are sharing, just posting things that they made. The one thing that we definitely stress is it is cooks of all levels. So whether you're just learning how to hard-boiled eggs so that the shells don't stick, or you're, which is very elusive even as a professional cook. I'm sure many people have the problem.
I was going to ask you how you did that.
Yeah, that is like the elusive peelable egg, right? To people that have been cooking for a while and at fairly high levels. We really encourage people to post pictures and not to be intimidated. Kylie, of course, is a professional photographer, so her pictures she could make your peanut butter and jelly look like, haute cuisine. So we want people to not be intimidated and to just to share.
That's great. That's great. And getting back to the hard-boiled egg, okay, I heard that it has to do with the freshness of the egg. Mm-hmm. For me, I take the egg when it comes to a boil. I time it for 12 minutes, then I run it under cold water for a while, and then I don't have a problem with the shells. But that can change if I get a batch of eggs that aren't that fresh, so who knows. You just had a soup event, Kylie.
Yep.
Tell me a bit about the soup event, because you do events the second Saturday of every month, but there are other events going on. But tell me about the soup event.
The Soup Wars, despite the name, wasn't a competition, but it was an idea that came from one of our members, actually, and she said, I really want to host this event. And I think she started asking about this back in, I feel like it was in October. She had this idea. She had this vision for January Soup Wars. I really want to do Soup Wars. And so we worked really closely with her to bring her party to life. This is what she wanted to do. And we helped her, plan, bowls and silverware and all that. And we got everything set up. And the party was it was like a horde of crock pots coming to the building. As we were getting there, I just saw there's a crock pot, there's a crock pot.
They're coming to this. And I'm on the top level of seniors that are going to be taking part, but I'm assuming it's every age
Every
group.
age. And that's the great thing. We have MICA college students who come all the way up to, we have people of all ages. So it's really, I think that's what makes the event so special. And one thing that Marci and I always say is that these are people who probably wouldn't cross paths or be at a dinner party together, and yet here everyone is in one space trying everyone's soups and whatever it is that they brought. People brought homemade bread, and one of the people said, this is the first time I've ever made bread, but I really wanted to try it for this event. So it's putting people out of their comfort zone.
Well, a lot of times also because I'm alone, cooking for one person, but if you have an excuse to go out and try a new recipe, people I would do dinner parties and try new recipes out, and they go, well, didn't you test it first? I said, no. I'm taking the chance. And Marci, going along with this, I like the idea you said that it's really hyper-local.
Yes.
That it's just Baltimore. You're not looking to expand to Anne Arundel or anything or other little chapters at this point, as far as I know. This is for Baltimore, for Baltimoreans from Baltimore County and surrounding areas to come together as a group and share food and share commonalities. And it's a very decisive time in the country now, and that's all put aside. Am I correct?
So that's it is the Baltimore metropolitan area. So we do welcome people from the surrounding counties to join, and that is, I think, Kylie and I and Robert have talked. It's so great to go and be in a group of in a room with a group of people, and all they're talking about is the food. There's no TV on. There's no conversation about anything, current events. They're literally saying, "Hey, your soup is great. What the heck did you put in it, and where did you buy the stuff?"
Yeah.
Right.
And what store did you go to, and how did you make it? And that's really what the conversations are about. So going back to what you were saying, or what Kylie was saying, we're filling a room with people that would probably never cross paths in everyday life. So it's pretty
creating
phenomenal.
friendships
Community.
and networking as well. But it's more or less, from talking with Kylie and with you, it is the community of food. It is sitting at a table and breaking bread with other people. And as I told you, we were having a fun conversation. Growing up for me, at the table with my parents and my sister, there was never a newspaper. There was never TV. They asked me, how did my day go? And that
Right.
sense of love and being cared for and somebody caring about what your day was like. And that's what comes with the Baltimore Supper Club, is that sense of belonging rather than not being ostracized. And then, of course, there's the food.
Yes.
And I thought it was so clever because I saw the pictures from your soup gathering that a fella came with muffin pan.
Yes, yes.
He's our genius member.
And, okay, so let me tell you, folks, about there's little taste of everything, and there's always so much food. So this fellow brought a muffin pan, and he just went around and took a little bit and put one in each little muffin, and then he could sit down. It's usually you're not all sitting at a table, so it makes
Right.
eating for him and sampling. And I'm going, that is just so clever. I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to take part in your secret ingredient. And that's March. That's the second Saturday in March. I think February you have Japanese, but that's booked out. Am I correct?
Yes, that one has a waiting list filled up really quickly. Everyone's, I think, really excited. And what's really amazing is a few weeks ago, I think we tried to post on Friday, ask people what they're cooking for the weekend. This is a couple weeks ago, and someone said, "Oh, I'm testing my recipes for a Japanese night. I'm trying to perfect what I'm going to make." And this is a few weeks before the event, so people get really excited about what they want to bring, and they really, not want to like impress or anything, but they want to share what they've.
They don't want you gagging.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
We haven't had anything completely unpalatable.
Everything's really,
we've
really
never
good.
had.
Well, let me ask each one of you, any special memory from one of the events or anything that you've done that comes to mind, Kylie?
I would say, actually, I mentioned the MICA students that come, and I was at Marci's Around the World party, and we just got to talking, and they said, we're coming up on midterms. This is our way to celebrate. Like, we look forward to these events. They come as a group. They come as like 4 people nearly every event. They're there, group of 4, and they just said, this is the one thing that we look forward to, and we're in midterms, and it's so stressful, but this is our way to relax, and we just love it. And that was just really special.
Okay, so everybody has a different memory. Let me come to you, Marci. Anything that sticks out and you go, wow, or emotional, or...
I think just going back to being in the room and talking to people and learning where they lived and knowing for a fact that the people would never have crossed paths in everyday life. They would not have found each other, or some. I bet you they wouldn't even have willingly been in the same room, if given the choice. So I find that just that sense of building community over or something that they share. I find that to be that still blows me away every event that we have.
Favorite food memory from your childhood?
Well,
Kylie?
This one's hard. I had to think about it, but my dad and I used to make chicken nuggets, and we would cook a lot together. And he would, ever since I was little, he'd show me how to use a knife, and I'd always, him and I are kind of obsessed with the way things smell. So I was like, "Oh, you got to smell this sauce," and I'd take it to my mom. "Oh, smell this sauce I made." So we used to do this every so often. We'd make a batch of chicken nuggets from an old recipe book, and we'd make 4 different sauces for it. It was like a ketchup sauce, a cream sauce, whatever. But that is one of those things I always look back on as just being, it was just something that I always remember and I really love doing.
Okay, Marci, your turn.
This is a tough one, but I would say my brothers and I always talk about scrambled eggs at my grandmother's house. And I don't know if it's because she used the real Breakstone's butter in the blue container, and my mom used margarine, so it was never so great, or that she cooked on a gas stove. But the scrambled eggs and toasted challah with melted cheese on it, that we would sit at a little TV table in front of the big TV in the living room, and and have there was something about those scrambled eggs that I am forever trying to replicate.
Well, when I look at it, I have to control myself because I want an egg in the morning. I have to have something, so I just do the egg and it's fast. And I turn on the heat, and I know you're supposed to have it hot at the beginning and then turn it down.
Turn it off, right.
And most people tend to just leave it hot, scramble it, and it's done. And as you progress down in heat, it becomes a softer, more whipped flavor or texture. Was that something that you remember? Or memories just...
I remember eating it. I'm not so sure how much watching I was doing. Because being the only granddaughter, I was served, so I would sit and wait.
Aren't you special?
I would sit and wait for the breakfast to come. So at a young age, I'm not sure how much I was actually watching. But as I've grown older, and I really think about the things, I'm able to sort of dissect the recipe, because of course nothing was ever written down that she made. So in my mind, I remember the taste, and I try to dissect the recipe and recreate some of those things.
Yeah. Well, you said that a lot from when you were working in the restaurants, front of the house and back of house, that you would do that.
Yeah. Watch.
Okay. Watch. Cooking classes. Any thoughts on that?
Oh. It's come up. I mean, it's something that I think that we would do. I think how we're trying to explore it right now is more with free events in the community. So we did something at Ceremony where we did a coffee tasting, and that's kind of a little bit more educational. And I think that that's a really good entry into this. We have something, we're working with Lane Harlan and her new wine store, Angels 8 Lemons, and we have something on the calendar for natural wine tasting, which carries that kind of educational component. But, I think we're always open to exploring the idea of cooking classes, but we're kind of starting small and just doing more like food education as kind of a nice entry to that.
I know that I go on your Facebook page, Baltimore Supper Club, if you're forgetting that, folks, Baltimore Supper Club on Facebook. And I see chefs that I know there. Devin Potler used to be a chef. And you just had, from Cunningham's, you have Jay Roffling, who came on. So all kinds of levels, and they're having fun with it, too. Years ago when I ran my cooking classes in the restaurants, I would invite the chefs over to my house for dinner, and people said, "Are you crazy?"
Chefs have to eat too.
They do, and they would eat hamburger helper when they got home. They weren't going through all that mise en place. They had help there that had everything all cut up and prepped for them. And the only thing that I would do is, I remember Gino Troya was over. I fixed Asian food for him, and I had Near Hung and his wife from Hung's in Mount Washington, and I fixed Italian food for him. I just didn't fix in their cuisine.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had one time where the water got shut down, and I was like really in trouble. So my neighbor was out of town, and I went in and I tapped into her line, which she had left, and able to do that. They're just happy that somebody fixes for them, and I think that's the same concept of your group, to sit and have people care about you and to fix things for you. I'm going to ask, we talked about this, food truck, or we call them trucks. What's your favorite truck? We talked about me chopping up the mushrooms and putting in an ice cube tray. All right, Kylie, you're up.
This actually came up in the group. I just recently have become fully confident in my ability to poach eggs. And I feel like now I can do multiple eggs
beautiful.
at once. And I got, they're really nice and neat. And we were talking about it in the group. And I said, my secret is, you have to strain the eggs. It's something I read about on Serious Eats. But that sometimes makes a lot of messy plates because you got a strainer and then you got all these ramekins for it. So I started just using a fork to kind of strain the egg off. And it's much quicker. And you just drop it right into the hot
Strain
water.
the egg off. I'm trying.
So there's a lot of extra wispy whites, and so when you put that in, they kind of separate. So what you want is there's like a little sack, I guess, for lack of a better word, that's kind of a neat, compact, encases the yolk, and so you get rid of those wispy whites, and then it kind of makes a much neater
Okay.
poached egg.
I think
Perfect
I've got
poached
that.
egg, yep.
Okay. I'm not good at poached eggs. What was I thinking about? I had one, just off the subject, but that happens with me. I was doing an apple tartane, and it like all fell apart. So I just put it in a bowl and put ice cream on it and served it.
There you go.
Great.
Go with that.
Right.
All right, Marci.
So I call it food hacks. So, but the same thing. Something that I have done for a long time as a single person is really use salad bars for ingredients, so that I don't have to buy an entire head of lettuce or an entire package of mushrooms if they're not sold loose. Buying some things that are already chopped, or that I could just buy a small amount of, even though it might cost me more per pound. I'm not wasting.
It's not
I'm
going
not
bad
wasting
in
the
your
food.
refrigerator,
right? Because I'll end up with a science project full of refrigerator of science projects, which I don't like to clean up. So that's something that I really try. I actually do quite frequently.
Well, I can understand that. I usually, it goes back to the thing that we were talking about, chop it up, put it in some water, put it in an ice cube tray.
Right.
And you have that. But lettuce doesn't work in the freezer. That
Right.
does not cut it there. And we were talking about the kitchen appliance that you can't live without, the kitchen tool for you, Kylie.
is tongs. I use them. They're like my second pair of hand. I used to just like use a fork, and it's when I discovered tongs, I don't know why it took me so long to discover them, but when I discovered them, like, oh, this is like, I have a hand that I can just grab stuff, and I grab everything. I grab plates with it, and I was at out to eat yesterday, and I saw them grabbing plates with their tongs, and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking the same way as these guys, so that's my favorite
You're
thing
sort
to
of
use.
like me, sort of challenged height-wise. So
Yeah.
those tongs,
Yes.
I've been there, where my mail is has nothing to do with cooking. My mail is, sometimes it drops down on the porch, so I'm laying on the porch with the tongs,
Yep.
getting it, but I understand the extension. And Marci?
A good, solid, sharp chef knife. I'm even to the point where, and my brother will laugh at me, but I pack it in my suitcase when I travel. Because lots of times I'll stay at an Airbnb or someplace that has a kitchen, but they never have a good knife. So a good knife that is sharp.
I'm responding. Jeffrey Spears here, and he's talking about the salad bars. He's coming with that, and he's saying, using salad bars is especially helpful for senior citizens, which I am, with limited capacity. This way they have fresh food without the investment in larger quantities. So he agrees with you. And I'm going down my thing. All right, Instant Pots. Do you have one or don't you? Do you like them? Are they worth it? Air fryers? Questions out to you.
I do not. When we do the events, I do use a crock pot, but I actually posted about this in the group where I was like, I don't often cook with crock pot because I like to be right there with it. I like to really be, interacting with my food. That sounds weird, but I don't like the kind of hands-off approach. I like to really be there. So I don't personally use one, although Marci is getting close to selling me because she loves her Instant Pot.
Your dad.
And my dad uses one.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to use this. And so I have a limited kitchen, so I don't really have space for it, but I don't have one.
So I actually have a Instant Pot and an air fryer. I don't.
Separate ones.
They're separate. Yeah, I don't have the
new one.
I don't have the new thing that's out. But I will say this: I do use both of them for different things, and the Instant Pot did save me at our. We had a Argentine night, and I made an Argentine stew, and just didn't get it in the crock pot early enough. And then I transferred it to a pot, and then I transferred it to the Instant Pot. So it did save me. But I will say this, an Instant Pot is an amazing thing for making faux broth, because instead of 10 hours, you've got 2 hours. And it has all the layers and all of the flavors that you would get from the 10-hour simmered broth.
Well, you go, girl. 'Cause faux broth. At this point, I used to invest a lot of time in making things from scratch, but now it's like, I had this one cake. It took me like 3 days to make. It had my neighbor over. You had to make your own caramel and all these different things, and it looked like the picture in the cookbook. And we went to eat. I went, oh, it's okay. 3 days to make this cake. So I use a pressure cooker. My late mother-in-law.
Okay. Same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. There's probably new things to go with that. And let's see. I want to make sure we cover everything about the Baltimore Supper Club. They can find you on Facebook. They can find you on the internet, but it's baltimoresupperclub.org, not .com, .org. Okay, making sure. And things that we have coming up are the Japanese, which is a waiting list. We have the natural wine tasting. And when is that?
That's February 1st.
February 1st, and that's real lemons. What's
It's Angel's 8 Lemons in Old Goucher.
okay? We have that coming up. Anything else on the drawing board? You were talking about ceremony coffee. I just want to make sure we cover everything, but it is up on your Facebook
Yep.
page.
It is.
Yep.
Baltimore
Sure.
Supper Club, and sign up for the newsletter. I can't wait to do this because this is, in my heart, something that I used to do way before technology was here, way before the internet, and I would take cooking classes, and I'd get together with the people from the cooking classes, and we would have dinner parties every 6 or 7 weeks with a theme. So I'm all behind this. I'm very excited that people are cooking again. any last words? Anything that you would like to say?
I just want to emphasize that right now, all of our events are free. You don't pay to join. You don't pay to participate. Your payment is the thing that you bring to share. And we also don't allow, at this point, really any advertising. So restaurants do not come on our page. The chefs that do participate as everyday people. And we're hoping to keep it that way for a pretty long time, and then kind of see where it takes us. But for right now, everything it's free.
That's great. So everyone, let me tell you about next week. And Chef Nancy Longo of Pierpoint is going to be here. And she is also, with me, going to be on the Press Box Radio with Glenn. You can't see Glenn, but he's our host for Press Box and our engineer here. And we're going to be talking about her time as on record representing the Ravens at the Taste of the NFL down at the Super Bowl. She's been doing it for years and an avid fan. She makes actually purple, when the Ravens are playing, you have purple deviled eggs that she makes. So she's a real hoot, so we hope you'll tune in next week. Every Thursday at 12:30 we're live. The show does go up on J Moore Living's page, also J Moore Living's webpage, jmoreliving.com, and the Facebook page, and will be on their YouTube channel as well. So if any of you need to reach me, you can reach me via email here at food@jmoreliving.com. You can post any notes that you want or comments, and I respond to those. And also, we accept advertisers here. The Baltimore Supper Club does not, but we do. So if you care to advertise an episode or to advertise multiple episodes, your company logo goes on our Facebook frame, as well as we review the copy at the top or middle or the end of the show and cover whatever you want. So it's been exciting, girls. It's been fun, and you're going to see a lot of me in the future. I'm very excited about what you're doing, and I can't stress enough for people who like to cook to get involved and come meet new people, come taste new flavors. Like anything else, may your plates always remain full. We thank you for coming and checking in with our show. This is Dara Bunjon. I am the Food Enthusiast, and we thank you again. Have a great week.